Hey folks out there, I hope you can see me and hear me okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties on my last video. I'm here live at LAX. Look at that plane just landed over there. Pretty cool. I walked over to this spot and I had to park like half a mile away to get here, but you can see the north runway from here. I'm at Los Angeles International Airport. Again, by the north runway. This is one of the busiest airports in the country and in the world. And I've been doing Uber trips here since 2013 and Lyft trips probably only started 2015 with those. So I've done a lot of trips to and from this airport. And I'm gonna go ahead and check it, see how these chat messages work, because this is my first time actually doing a live broadcast from the app like this. And there's probably no chat messages, but if everybody can hear me okay and see me okay, that is that's awesome. So I hope that's the case. And everybody watching out there, I'm sorry, I'm like still learning how to use this, and it's asking me to do filters and all sorts of stuff. All right. Anyway. All right, well, I'm stuck in some crazy like filter menu. I'm just gonna turn one on, and hopefully it won't kill this this scene too much. If you guys could just bear with me for a second. So, all right, Jason, hey, thank you so much for the comment. Can you hear me okay, Jason? And I finally got my filter issue worked out. So I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. This is a learning experience for me, but I hope now that I'm learning how to use this live stream, I'll be able to, do more of these. So just to answer a couple of questions before we get into the meat of the video, does it surge often at LAX, for instance, every day? All right. And thank you so much for letting me know that you can see and hear me, Meditech. Appreciate that. But to answer your question, from what I see, it does surge every day at LAX. And in fact, in my Uber app, it's been surging at a 1.9x since at least Thursday night, every single time I check the app, which is a lot of times because I check my Uber app very often. So I don't know if it's stuck at that, if they're just like locking it there. I've seen in the past, actually at times, I remember one morning in LA a couple years ago when the surge in the area I was in was just stuck at like 2.2 for 2 hours. It was obviously some kind of technical thing. Got a little WestJet coming in right there, a loud one. If there's a good landing, I'll flip the camera around for you guys to check it out, so you don't have to look at my ugly face and you can see a plane. Oh, Matt, thank you so much for letting me know. I mean, it's my first time trying to broadcast from here. It seemed like I had a good signal, so please just bear with me, and hopefully you guys will be able to see and hear enough that you get something out of joining this live vid. But yeah, so it seems to be locked at 1.9x right now. Even let me check my. I have a second phone so that I could do this broadcast, and I'm just gonna check my Uber app. You probably won't be able to see it, but sure enough, it's at 1.9 at the airport right now. I don't know if that's going to show up just because of the glare and whatnot, but it's at 1.9 at the airport. So it's like locked at that. So it does surge from my experience every day, but the problem is that there's just so many things out of your control. The problem is exactly what I'm going to talk about in this very video, and we'll be getting to that stuff in just a moment. So thank you to everyone joining in. I do want to just show you this. Looks like we got a big boy coming in right now. Can't see, but I believe 1.9. Thank you for the comment, whoever wrote that. But I want to show you guys this live landing. This is happening right now. Let's check this out. If the camera will flip for me. Come on, camera. Here we go. Looks like a big plane too. And it's gonna come right through. Big Daddy coming in. What do we got? Japan Airlines. Anybody read the tail numbers on that puppy? Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was pretty cool. I've never been to this spot before. If you want to come here ever, it's this little bridge, and it's over Lincoln Boulevard. That's like, all right, I'm sorry. Lincoln Boulevard is right there, and this is a bridge that goes over it right before you go into LAX. And the way you get over here, this is on Westchester Parkway. I parked back over there on La Tijera, basically like where La Tijera, where the Ralph's is on at Lincoln and La Tijera. Parked right over there, and that seemed to be, to me, the closest place to park where you could, to walk here from. It was about half a mile, so it was like a 10-minute walk, but it's a pretty cool place. It's a pretty cool spot. There was a bunch of people taking pictures earlier. Anyway, thank you to everyone who's joined, and again, sorry for the technical difficulties earlier, but I did want to talk about why I, as an Uber and Lyft driver, actually hate coming here to LAX. I've been coming here since 2013. When I first signed up for Uber, it was kind of crazy. There were no rules, and drivers just pulled right up to the arrivals doors on the lower level, which is totally forbidden now. We didn't even, I think, probably had a little U in the window, but there were no rules. It was like the Wild West out there, and we just picked people up. Then all of a sudden, like in the early 2014, I think, LAX was like, yo, not cool. No more Uber and Lyft pickups, drop-offs, whatever. So that ended, and everybody who's joining live, we got another plane coming in. If you want to see this landing instead of hearing me talk, let me know, or else I'll continue talking, and you'll just see it over my shoulder. But so then there were like no pickups or drop-offs for a minute, and then drop-offs were allowed for a while here, and then finally in late 2015 you could pick up as well. So it opened up a lot more opportunities, and it did help, because before that we could do pickups, you were just you had an empty exit, like no question. There was no way you could get a ride from LAX, maybe from a hotel nearby, but who knows? So many drivers would be coming into the airport and then leaving empty. So even if there were requests, there were so many drivers, and just way too many drivers to fulfill the little demand that was around the airport but not at the airport. So it was nice in that regard to get pickups approved. And it's just been a different hustle over the years at this airport. And again, I want to just take a second to say that every airport is different. So whatever I'm talking about are just my experiences here at LAX, but I know a lot of drivers do come here. So I thought it'd be worthwhile to make this video. And I just have some notes I wrote down so that I can tell you guys what I want to say. So I did want to bring you some reasons, 4 reasons actually, why I hate doing pickups and drop-offs here at LAX. And the number one reason is like law enforcement. They've never bothered me, but from what I've read and stuff, at times I feel like law enforcement at airports has treated Uber and Lyft drivers more harshly than the average citizen. And I understand this. A lot of times drivers probably do break rules, and Uber and Lyft lay out the rules pretty clearly, though they don't always really make sure that we understand them, which is on them. And also sometimes it's actually fights between Uber or Lyft or whoever in law enforcement, hey, you can pick up at this airport. No, you can't pick up at this airport. And the way it plays out is we're the pawns in the game. So, I don't want to blame law enforcement, but unfortunately, that's a reality that Uber and Lyft drivers probably do get treated a little more harshly. Though something I would definitely mention, we got a China Eastern coming in right there. I heard this runway on the north side is a lot of big planes, a lot of international planes, and there were a couple of small ones too. So yeah, I understand why law enforcement would be harsh on Uber drivers. They got to keep everything in check, especially with so many cars coming in. But I will say that I haven't had any problems myself, and recently it seems like all the police and law enforcement here at LAX, their main priority is just keeping traffic moving, which to me is a good idea. So that's reason number one. It never really affected me, but it's a situation where I feel like we're judged more harshly than the average citizen. So reason number 2 is, and some drivers might disagree with me on this, but reason number 2 that I hate picking up and dropping off at LAX is that the fares aren't that great. I went through and looked through my trip histories with Uber and Lyft, and if you're a driver here in LA and you're driving, you're doing like 15 rides or more a day, you're probably gonna end up at the airport at least once, either picking up or dropping off. I mean, most likely dropping off unless you're trying to come here and pick up. So, and I looked through some of those airport fares and they weren't my biggest fares. My biggest fares were other fares. And on top of that, there's so much time invested in pickups and drop-offs here at LAX. So I always try to keep that in mind. So, you know, contrary to what people might think, you know, I'm sure you do land a huge fare occasionally here at LAX. And if you have yourself, let me know, like, what's your biggest fare to or from LAX? From what I remember, mine is probably only like 50 bucks or so. And that's over a lot of airport trips, like hundreds. And you know, I'm sure some people who start their day further away and are able to hit a surge or something out there, maybe in the Inland Empire or in Orange County coming up here, I'm sure you've gotten some big ones. 183, damn, yeah, I need more like that. But for me personally, at least when I look through my United, that's boring. And I'm probably beating somebody up and dragging somebody through the aisle right as we speak on that plane. But yeah, when I look through my fares, like the biggest ones were definitely not to or from the airport. Reason number 3 that I hate picking up and dropping off here at LAX is I can't move freely. Like, I do know some shortcuts around the airport, like there's ways you can get from the upper level to the lower level and the lower level to the upper level. Everybody knows a little shortcut to get from Terminal 1 over to Terminal 6, to cut through there, and then there's another one later on to avoid Tom Bradley. But even if you know all the shortcuts, all the secret entrances and stuff, you're still gonna get stuck in traffic. Like, there's no way to avoid it. I've been here not millions of times, that would be an extreme exaggeration. I've been here hundreds of times, and you're just stuck. Like, you cannot move freely as if I were on regular public surface streets, and you know, I knew there were ways to get away from whatever traffic or whatever, or to get to my pickup or to my drop off quicker, and that's just not possible at LAX. And you know, I feel like if I look back over my experiences at LAX over the years, like there's probably been so many instances where I missed like some huge surge that was like just outside the airport, but I was stuck there. You know, so anyway, you can't move freely. And then reason number 4, and probably the biggest reason that I hate picking up and dropping off here at LAX Airport, is there is so much unpaid time and so much slow time where you have a passenger, but you're not moving. Because the way to earn money with Uber and Lyft is to have the wheels a-moving. You gotta have the wheels turning. Okay, you can't just be sitting there, even on a 5-time surge, you know, that's only like, here in LA, that's what, like 45 cents a minute or something? So, that wouldn't even be that much, 20-something bucks an hour just to sit there on a 5-time surge if you actually got one. So the time is not the component that pays, and there's just so much time where you're stuck in traffic and so much unpaid time. I mean, like, when I think about when I'm dropping somebody off, first of all, we're going so slow getting into the terminal, so you have those slow miles which kill your earnings per hour. And then once I drop them off, sometimes there's this huge traffic jam to get out, and then every driver's either trying to get to the driver lot to get a request, or just get out of the airport and get a new request. But there's so many drivers in the exact same situation as you. So, you know, just so much unpaid time. And then picking up, I mean, that's even worse. You got to go to the lot, and then you enter the lot, and then you wait for a request. I mean, I've waited like an hour for a request before. At least now with Uber, you can like wait for it to surge and whatnot. But then after you get the request, then you got to go pick them up. The thing is, there's a huge line of traffic all throughout the day to pick up just to get into the terminal. You're talking about, I call my passengers, I'm like, hey, it says I'm going to be there in about 20 minutes to pick you up, and I'm like half a mile away, just on the little access road, 96th Street or whatever. So, you know, picking up even worse in terms of unpaid time. And then once you get them, you have the slow miles just to get out of the airport and escape and get on the freeway, and hopefully they're going somewhere far. And, you know, there's just so many things, like those 4 main things I mentioned, that are just out of our control as drivers. So even though you can occasionally land a big trip to or from here, to me, I just hate coming here because, you know, I can just get stuck here and miss out on other opportunities, or I can get stuck with unpaid time, or time where the miles are so slow, or fares, I'm sorry, where the miles are so slow. So, you know, I just don't like coming here, and I'm actually considering asking Uber and Lyft, like, would they, San Ysidro to LAX, how much was that one? Oh, that was the 183. Got it. Okay, just coming through. Very cool. But I'm so like fed up with these rides, picking up and dropping off, that I'm considering asking Uber and Lyft to turn off my airport access, because I'm sure they can do that, because you have to pass some quiz in order to get it enabled and turned on. So I'd imagine they can turn it off, but will they if I ask them to? And I'm just considering it. In the back of my mind, there's always other, there's always that huge fare I don't want to miss out on, right? But I really wonder, because there's so much wasted time here and energy and effort. So I don't know. And I actually talked to a driver recently. I forget your name if you happen to be watching, but he's a driver also in LA, and he really smart strategy. He was a new driver and he hadn't gotten done the airport quiz yet. I believe it was for Uber, and he wasn't going to, just to avoid airport trips. And that's, kind of smart for here. Maybe not for all areas, because in a lot of areas, airport trips are awesome. So, what is it like in your area? Because today I'm telling you why I don't like coming to this airport, and it's mainly really just the traffic is what it boils down to. But what's it like in your area? And I don't think that there's not a possibility for LAX to be better. There's improvements they could make right now that would, make it a much better experience for drivers and passengers. The thing that bugs me the most is the inefficiency of the pickup, that you have to go to this other lot and wait, and then waste time and effort getting into the airport, when Uber or Lyft could easily program into the app, guys, a feature where they match a rider being dropped off with one who's being picked up right after that, either at that same terminal or any terminal after. And believe me, the engineering teams there are smart enough to do it. The only question would be, well, what about people waiting at the lot? And who knows? I mean, maybe it would create different strategies, but it would be a much more efficient system. There would be half as many cars in the terminal, so you could move faster. We'd be earning more with less, wasted time. So even if I could only come here a limited number of times, I would still prefer something like that, where they have pickups and drop-offs matched. And so there's not all this wasted time and empty car trips leaving the airport and coming back in, which is just the stupidest part of this, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think. And then the other idea I had that they could improve at LAX, because there's just so much traffic here, is what if they had shuttles taking people off site or bringing them on site, like from an Uber lot, especially Uber pool. Like, hey, you want an Uber pool? We're gonna drop you off. You gotta get it from this lot, and there's a bus that'll take you there. Or even like if you're taking an Uber pool to the airport, like you can't be dropped off at the airport. And then that would incentivize people to use regular Uber and Lyft also, which we would be paid more for. So that's an idea I had. But these have been my experiences here at LAX, but I really am curious to know what airport you're servicing if you are an Uber or Lyft driver, and what your experiences have been like. Have you had any problems with law enforcement? Are you able to make a lot of money? Because there are some great airport hustles out there. I just don't know how to do it here. And if you do have like good hustles for LAX, would you share them with us? Because so many of us, would love to know. We get stuck here every single day. And are there just any ways to make it easier, more pleasant, more efficient, anything like that? So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I apologize for the technical difficulties early on. I hope you enjoyed checking out a couple planes coming in. And again, we're on Westchester Parkway, right above Lincoln Boulevard. That's, if you guys ever seen the Custom Hotel, it's right behind that building. So just go to Lincoln and La Tierra, turn at the Ralph's, park there, then walk down Loyola Boulevard and head east on Westchester Parkway, and you can end up right here. So 20-minute wait, Painter Lady, in Detroit, average. Yeah, I mean, I would say on average, I can get a request. It's really busy. I can get a request in the lot here within like 10 minutes, usually with most apps. Though like now that Uber is locked in the surge, the lot is just filled with people. But yeah, then another like 15 minutes. So there's just so much unpaid time, and it sounds like that with you too, because if I'm out in the city and hustling, there's not nearly as much unpaid time. So thank you so much for letting me know what's going on in Detroit. Anyway, I really, really appreciate the fact that you guys all tuned in. And if you guys have any questions or want to share, what it's like at your airport, I would love to hear about that. So whatever airport, you hang out by, and wherever you're watching this video from, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you soon.